The freedom to be entertained at a price you and your family can afford. So please go to vidgo.com/bill. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
Grandpa, what do you like best about painting the kitchen?
Crusty brushes. I never clean them out, and they get so stiff I use them as machetes to trim the lawn. When we were kids, we'd put our crusty brushes in the ice box and lick them like popsicles. We loved it.
Okay, good talk, Grandpa.
It's best to just get with the times and let AI Painting Plus make your project picture perfect. You'll get what you paint for. AIPaintingPlus.com. Painting joy into people's homes.
And don't get me started on crusty rollers. We'd hang them on Christmas trees and put them in.
Advertising has changed dramatically over the years and continues to be evolving. At Zimmer Communications, we started in radio and it's still at the heart of what we do. But when you work in sales and marketing for us, you'll be able to address all of your potential clients' needs. Besides radio, we have digital, social media, websites, content marketing, and more. Work for a family-owned, award-winning, community-minded media company. Join us at Zimmer Communications. Apply to be a part of our sales team today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
News, analysis, opinion. We're 93.9 The Eagle, KSSC, Fayette, Columbia, a free service of Zimmer Communications.
Eagle News Time, 6 o'clock.
Here comes Hurricane Ian again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. This time it's barreling towards South Carolina.
Don't go in the water today. Don't go to the beach. Don't get in the ocean. We saw some really horrifying videos in Florida of people doing that. I'm asking people to stay home, stay safe, and make sure that they stay off the roads.
Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina, where Ian could hit around lunchtime. It's regained strength as a Category 1 storm with 85-mile-an-hour winds after devastating Florida as a Cat 4.
Large vessels pushed up from the bay here and just debris everywhere. A chair, there are trees, people's belongings, unfortunately. Just tremendous amounts of flooding much of downtown. That water has receded at this point, thankfully, but no power and no running water here this morning.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Fort Myers. Rescue crews still trying to get some areas hardest hit with roads and bridges out in Lee County.
They're clearing the roads of debris so the crews can get out. And so that the teams are going from literally from structure to structure.
State Fire Marshal Jimmy Petronas tells Fox they've rescued hundreds of people.
But families are being reunited. But please understand, as communications are so challenged, it's just hard for loved ones to touch base with loved ones.
At least 10 people are reported dead, but there may be more bodies in the destruction. President Biden says this could be the deadliest hurricane to hit Florida. More than 2 million homes and businesses remain out of power. There's been a Russian onslaught today in Ukraine with bombings and missile and drone strikes. One of them killed 25 people. This as Russia gets ready to sign treaties with pro-Moscow officials today in 4 regions of Ukraine that Russia is annexing, taking over after taking control of them during the invasion. President Biden says
the United States will never recognize Russia's claims on Ukraine's sovereign territory.
America's listening to Fox News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hi, I'm Lisa Booth for Bishop Gold Group. Are you worried about your financial future as retirement gets closer? All over the country, soon-to-be retirees are fearing for their financial future as markets remain volatile. Bishop Gold Group helps you invest in gold and gold IRAs to protect your wealth and retirement during times of high inflation and wild swings in the market. Secure your future today. Contact Bishop Gold Group by dialing pound 250 from a mobile phone and say the keyword Bishop Gold, or visit bishopgoldgroup.com.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Houseworth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News is presented by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all of your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. I'm Brian Houseworth. 6:03 is our time, and we begin with the historic tax cut approved by the Missouri General Assembly.
You can do to get prepared is make sure you're vaccinated against the coronavirus. You don't need salt. You don't need plows, shovels, windshield scrapers. You don't need any of that stuff. You need, according to the president, your president, our president of the United States, all you got to do to get prepared for any natural disaster is just get vaccinated. It's a cure-all, man.
I mean, if you're the people living in your mom's basement and never leaving your house, then you don't need any of that stuff.
Oh,
Stay
man.
at home.
Guess who's going to be picked as one of our losers of the week, Marsh? Yeah. Winners and losers of the week. We do this every Feel Good Friday, 8:35 here on the show. Good morning and welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I am Branden Rathert, joined by Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
There's Mr. Brian.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you.
Producer Hannah is here.
Hello.
And John Marsh is here. Already got his list of winners and losers of the week. Of course, somebody you want to nominate, make the cut. Find out 8:35. You can send that text 874-9390. Eric, Sue, and Joe. Eric Schmidt, some other attorneys general, mostly Midwest states, I think with the exception of South Carolina, are saying, hey, so we've been looking at things like the law and the Constitution. This student debt loan forgiveness, this is no good. And by the way, this is the second legal challenge this week to go after Joe and the administration's plan to cancel student debt up to $20,000. Here's what it says in this lawsuit here. Republican states argue that Biden's cancellation plan is not remotely tailored to address the effects of the pandemic on federal student loans. So that was kind of the premise to it. They said, hey, listen, pandemic, and we gotta do whatever we can to help. And you know what Eric is doing to prove his point? He's using Joe's own words.
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work.
The pandemic is over, but we're going to cite the pandemic in increasing our deficit by billions and billions of dollars. And we're going to treat people like crap, people that work. I think especially of these military folks, man, that went on the GI Bill. If you get a chance, talk to somebody in the military that went on a GI Bill. Ask them what they think about student loan forgiveness. Wow. So that was, obviously, that was the interview from Scott Pelley. See, that interview almost 2 weeks ago now continues to heap disaster on the Biden administration. Remember, less than 24 hours after that interview aired, they had people on the TVs trying to clean up that interview and saying, well, he wasn't trying to make you think the economy was good. And we played audio. Joe is saying the economy's not bad. And it's still causing problems. They are using Biden's own words from that interview. Say, well, your whole premise now for this student loan forgiveness is fallen flat on its face. One of my favorite birthday gifts ever to somebody was the prop check we gave to Stephanie Bell.
It was so cute.
$10,000.
I'm still waiting for that actual money.
And you didn't even have to wrap it in moldy Ninja Turtle wrapping paper.
Which I've been known to do. And I love this.
And here's the other question, Branden, and I'm that lawsuit to me is very interesting because it gets really to the key argument. Is that constitutional? Because the gentleman we had on this week that talked about the guy in Oregon and his interest rates, I just didn't think that really had a chance to go through the courts. So I'm interested to see the constitutionality. But the other factor that the Biden administration has not answered yet is what about the people like Stephanie and I and you that paid our loans back? I guess we get nothing?
Yeah.
Now, some media outlets have said the people that did pay it back get something, but the way I read it, I don't see how I'd get anything.
That's right. And then there's people like Hannah, smart, intelligent, young conservatives that have student loan debt right now on its premise against the idea, but
It is a really interesting position to be in because it is going to eliminate essentially 2/3 of my student loan debt before I even have to start making payments on it.
You're welcome.
And I see why people are upset. I would be upset if I wasn't directly benefiting from it. But it's a weird situation to be in because it is a blessing in a way.
I was goofing around on the Twitter. By the way, I'm on Twitter @Rathert. Branden. Steph's on Twitter, too.
@Stephanie S. Bell.
And I'm @Brian on the air.
or producer _ Hannah. I pulled a Rathert. I didn't know my own Twitter handle.
Where can we find Marsh?
There we go.
I love it. So I'm goofing around on the Twitter. Schmidt said, by the way, we did reach out to him to come on to the show. We haven't had him on for a while. Believe me, it is not for lack of trying. I know sometimes he's on Fox TV at night, so I don't know if that's a thing, but did talk to his people yesterday. I'm like, hey, we would love the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. He's not in the Senate yet. He is our Attorney General. It'd be great if we could hear from him. This is a pretty substantial news story nationwide. This is not just a Missouri thing. This is a very substantial news story. He said we would love here to hear from our Missouri Attorney General. And he said, well, we do Monday or Tuesday. We said we could do Fridays. Usually we don't do political guests on Fridays. But for you, our what I would presume to be our next senator, we'll make an exception for you. I don't know.
He had a big fundraiser in Kansas City last night with Ted Cruz.
I still think, and I'm aware of the fundraiser, but the Attorney General really should come on the show.
I agree, by the way.
And I hope the Attorney General's staff, and I hope his campaign staff is listening. He needs to be on this radio station, and we want to hear from him, and we need to hear from the Attorney General on air about this policy.
And you're right, Brian. You are not wrong.
We need to hear it. And I think our listeners will probably agree with 99% of what he says, but we need to hear about it. How's this lawsuit going to work?
I'm paying his salary. You're paying his salary. Steph, you paying Eric's salary?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all paying your salary. We voted to put you in, your constituency. You still serve a role in the state of Missouri. It would be nice to hear from him. You know who is coming on next week? Jonathan Dine.
Oh, I was hoping it was Trudy Bush Valentine.
No, we've reached out to her office twice. They're not even responding.
Oh, darn.
But Jonathan Dine, he's a libertarian candidate. Now, he's got no realistic chance of winning, and you could say maybe that's too bad. But it'd be interesting to hear from an action, instead of hearing from a libertarian platform, an actual libertarian candidate, because he probably gets mad when you have radio talk show hosts that say, well, he's probably got no chance of winning. That probably gets him mad, but it's reality.
Do you think he thinks he could win?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Then that's the first question. Dude, you're pretty honest, right? You know you're not going to win. We appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate you. It's almost, I think some of these libertarian candidates, and Marsh, if this is a stretch, you let me know, bud. But it's like in Jefferson City, when a lawmaker introduces legislation, it ain't going through the first year. Probably not going through the second year, probably not the third. 5 to 10 years, does that seem... 3 to 5 years at the very least.
Yeah, I would say 3 years.
Mars, does that sound right? Before a bill actually gets passed? Yeah. So it takes a while, and maybe it's the same thing for libertarian candidates. Because, listen, hands off. You give me the info, let me make my own decisions. I love a lot of what the Libertarian Party is about. And maybe it's like a bill in Jefferson City. It just takes a while. It takes people like Jonathan Dine coming on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and News Radio 104.5 KWOS. Maybe it just takes time to continue to build the ideas like it takes time to build.
Well, in the Senate race, we had a lot of people on this station that had no chance of winning.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, Jonathan Dine, he's here coming up Thursday morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. So here's what the Democrats are saying in Jeff City regarding, by the way, taxes. The tax cuts are coming. Governor Parson right now probably waking up, getting some coffee. Him and Teresa probably doing some daily devotionals. He's got his pen. Going to walk over to the Capitol and sign this bill for tax cuts, which went through. And that wasn't, it seemed like a sure thing, then it wasn't a sure thing, and now he's just waiting on the signature. So this is something that impacts your paychecks. Your paychecks will be different. Vote in the House, 9832. It goes to the governor's desk next, and the governor was saying, listen, look what's happened. Groceries, the price of bacon, price for a can of Progressive soup, high gas prices, record inflation. Every little bit helps. This is what we can do to help Missourians. Democrats, House Minority Leader Crystal Quaid says we're here right now because the election is 40 days away.
Is it 40?
39. 39 days until the election. Is your ID all up to date and stuff? I'm guessing you got a picture ID. The big thing has been make sure your driver's license, whatever picture ID that you use on November the 8th, is not expired. That can cause some real big issues. It's kind of Crystal to take. Last time Crystal made news here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri was, yesterday. Because she was complaining about the governor wanting to highlight hunger in Missouri. And she was complaining about the orange lights at the Capitol.
And you were like, man, it's Halloween.
I thought it was Halloween lights. That's the last time she made news. There is a Democrat, at least one Democrat that I'm aware of that voted in favor of the tax cut, Tracy McCreary. She's from the St. Louis area. And also running for the Senate.
Yeah.
So, wise move on her part. You know, and I wonder real quick before we move forward, do want to get to today's daily D.C. rundown. On a national level is following the Georgia race, Stacey Abrams there. And I'm looking at some of her campaign stuff and got to looking at some of the campaign stuff from other women across the country that are running for office. And I'm looking, and they've got for Representative Val Demings, who's running against Marco Rubio for Senate in Florida, she's got a shirt that says "Stop the War on Women." And I'll put it up in the camera if you're watching with us on our YouTube channel. Stop the War on Women. Stacey Abrams, I'm goofing around on her website. She has a shirt that says, "As a woman, I'm encouraged." And I'm like, hey, that's great stuff. But I thought Democrats don't know how to define what a woman is.
Fair point.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context. I'm not.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, who makes her first real appearance on the Supreme Court today. Remember that famous exchange, couldn't define a woman. Democrats can't define a woman. But if you can't define a woman, then why are they campaigning with T-shirts and coffee mugs and satchels that say, "Stop the War on Women," if you don't know what women are? Welcome into a Feel Good Friday. Coming up, we're going to be doing the daily DC Rundown. Going to peek
He complimented me. He thanked me for the immediate response we had. He told me how much he appreciated it, said he was extremely happy with what was going on. This is not about whether or anything having to do with our disagreements politically. This is about saving people's lives, homes, and businesses.
Joe Biden on the budding romance between him and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We spoke, we held hands, we walked along the beach. By the way, I got to tell you, I do agree with Joe there. Listen, we're talking about something bigger than politics. We're talking about helping people that got crushed by this hurricane. What can we do to help? And that's getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
So Biden did declare a major disaster in parts of Florida at DeSantis' request, which frees up additional resources and money for the relief there. So they are getting along to some extent, but I do feel like his comments are kind of like, hey, let's not make this political. At the same time, he's saying, hey, get a vaccine for the hurricane. And then at the same time, he's saying, hey, oil companies, don't raise gas prices. So he's been using the hurricane for political purposes for the last week.
And this hurricane was caused by climate change.
Right?
No, it wasn't. I mean, all across the spectrum, these meteorologists, atmospheric scientists are saying it is, it's a lie. It's false. You're trying to use a natural disaster as a campaign prop. Saying, no, you can't say this hurricane was... We have hurricanes. It's hurricane season along the Gulf Coast. You know what happens between June and November along the Gulf Coast? And they get hurricanes. This didn't start happening because of their perceived climate change.
Sure didn't. Well, the Senate passed their bill to prevent a government shutdown, although only until December 16th. So after the midterms, we're going to fight it out again. For the most part, it just preserves the status quo funding for agencies other than some increased funding for Ukraine. The Supreme Court is in the news today in two different respects. First, Ketanji Brown Jackson has her investiture, which is like the formal big fancy ceremony. So she gets to sit in a chair that once belonged to John Marshall. Of course, she is the third black justice in the court's history. There are supposed to be lots of folks in the room, I think spouses and other dignitaries.
Will Ginny Thomas be there?
Well, no, she's somewhere else. But maybe today. But they'll read the official proclamation that was appointing her, and then she will repeat the oath that she's already said. Ginny Thomas yesterday was over at the January 6th committee in a private interview. Can we just be done with the January 6th committee?
She's the wife of Justice Clarence Thomas, second black to serve on the Supreme Court.
She is. And so we don't really know, what happened in the interview other than that she voluntarily went in for an interview. And I think they have a public meeting coming up, so I suspect we might hear some more coming out about that.
By the way, Jamie Raskin said the other day, and I don't know if I have the words here. I have it, but I want to get back. He said, I hope we get in another J6 hearing prior to the election. He said that. Like, dude, you don't say that stuff out loud. But yeah, he wants another October surprise.
But they're saying it all out loud. Also, the Mar-a-Lago stuff continues between the special master and the judges. I guess the judge last week limited the role of the special master. And so the thing that Trump wanted and got and thought would save him isn't turning out to be exactly how he wanted. And so that process is just basically going to be a long slog and pretty slowed down right now.
By the way, regarding January 6th stuff, there's a video that had been posted a while ago. And it has to do with all the Democrats following the 2016 election. The election was stolen, illegitimate president, and YouTube demonetized it, later backtracked. But that's kind of interesting. We'll hear that audio a little bit later this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Like my aunt, God bless her, she lives down in Florida. There was a hurricane came to town. She texted. She goes, "Hey, John, there's a hurricane coming to town. We're fine, but don't worry about us. But our neighbors have a $5 million house on the beach, and they're very concerned about it. Can you pray?" No. How am I supposed to pray for that? Jesus be with all the orphans and widows and missionaries. Also, you know the Goldsteins? Yeah, from Boca Raton. Listen, we just asked. This is tough, but when those floodwaters come ashore tomorrow, would you just direct those waters around their house to other smaller, poorer people's houses?
One of Stephanie Bay. He's good, by the way.
John Christ. He's one of my favorites.
John Christ. And he got an interesting backstory, too.
Yeah, they tried to cancel him. I think he went to rehab for a bit, and he's a Christian comedian. One of my favorite bits he does is he does weed store or church, and he reads the names, and you have to guess whether it's a church or a weed store. He was recently in Springfield, Missouri, and talked about Missouri stuff, which was great. But no, really funny guy. Obviously, the hurricane's not funny, but it is. There are people down there wishing that it saved nicer areas, and that's the scary thing I think about tornadoes and hurricanes is they don't care how much money you have. Yeah. Just absolute devastation down there, and it's awful.
It doesn't matter, and but you got to be careful. That's what I appreciate about this guy. He's very religious.
Yeah, he's a Christian,
and so it's okay for him to say stuff like that. But if you're not religious, you can't point out stuff. Marsh, there's a story in the Jefferson City News Tribune. There was a big event yesterday. A bunch of kids got together, even public schools, Jefferson City area schools, they got together and prayed. Mm-hmm. And like a prayer day. And yeah.
And that's a national thing, I believe.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So a nationwide event, and folks said, well, how can the public school students get out there and pray? And I used to be on board with you on this, but here's the thing. Where I am now in my evolution, whatever that is that just because somebody's praying, it doesn't mean they're praying to a religious deity. Doesn't mean that at all. We just assume. There's numerous gods out there that anybody could be praying to, or you could just be saying the words out loud. You may not even be praying to any kind of whatever. You just may be having a moment of silence and talking. So, yeah, if they want to pray, that's not religious. Praying is not, in my mind, at least for me, not a religious thing. By the way, the TV coverage, it was so fascinating yesterday because I'm a busy dude. Like, I'm here, and then I'm watching TV the rest of the day, monitoring the national news outlets. And one of the things that I thought was hilarious. So yesterday, Ian didn't provide any good TV. A little bit of wind and rain. Every news channel that I was going through, they were just showing video from the day before, which I kind of get, but it's like, hey, what's happening today isn't exciting TV, so let's show some stuff from yesterday. Until, I want to play the audio here. This is going to need a little bit of context of what happened here. So CNN thought, you know what? Screw it. We're going to put somebody out in the street where there's really weather happening. So we'll hear a little bit here. It's this report, and they're like, have you seen these helmets? They're like, I don't know if they're baseball helmets or like military helmets. I've never seen, Jim Cantori always wore a ball cap, man. He didn't go out there in no stinking military grade helmet, but it's like they're militarizing the Weather Channel. And one dude, I don't know if you saw this, bud, but one dude, or maybe it was, I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Weather Channel, but they're wearing this helmet, and I swear to God, they had a hairnet over the helmet. What are you doing? So this CNN reporter is out there. I'll play the audio and then the context to come afterwards. Standing out in the middle of, there's some cars parked out on the street. Seems to be a downtown area.
And battered by this violent wind is enough reason for us in the National Weather Service to issue those extreme wind warnings. Look, we are on, you gotta bear with me. We are on the backside of the...
This guy, he's out there in the elements. He's got his baseball batting helmet on, and he's leaning into it. He's holding the microphone and leaning forward and turning his head, which is covered in a helmet. And behind him, you see this dude just walking to his car, real casual, man. Like the wind, it can't be that bad.
Right?
Man.
There's a little bit of theater going on here.
And here's the other thing. Yeah. Or a guy with a bag of groceries and a cigarette dangling out of his mouth looking at what the hell's going on here?
I just imagine, like, right off camera, like a big fan, like with models and someone with a hose, just like, psh.
So in Florida, like, you could go up to, and the other thing some of these reporters do, I kid you not, and I saw this, they put condoms over the microphones.
Yeah, they were taking some heat for that on Twitter, too.
To keep the water out.
Seriously.
And it didn't get pregnant either.
Wouldn't that be slippery? Like,
I practice safe radio. So it's just crazy what they do. Completely disingenuous and almost fraudulent. But in Florida, like, you could go and hook up and set up next to the Weather Channel vans. And this was bad. I think they quit doing it. People got wise, but they would go out there with the umbrellas. And they would, stand against the wind, and then the umbrella would fly away, and they'd be aghast because they lost an $8.99 umbrella that's about as flimsy as a leaf falling off an oak tree in the fall. And they'd be astounded. Look at what it did. It ruined my umbrella. And you could go by the Weather Channel van, and they had a trash can, a plastic trash can. It wasn't a roll cart. Plastic trash can full of umbrellas.
Cheap ones.
Like cheap ones. And every time they lost an umbrella, here's another one, man. Let's get another shot. 874-9390. Chuck, welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri, Feel Good Friday. Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, producer Hannah, Brian Houseworth. I'm Branden Rathert. And Chuck joining us. What's up, Chuck?
Oh, not much. Hey, I never understood when they have these events at schools or for anywhere else for that matter, like pray under the flag or whatever. I never understood why, well, not just anyone, but other religions complain about Christians praying anywhere. What do they think we're doing? Praying for their destruction? What offends them? It drives me nuts. How can you be offended at what we're praying about?
Yeah.
You got to be assuming we're praying for something against you, because what complaint would you have? I don't complain, even though I'm a Christian. I don't complain about Satanists praying or Muslims praying or any other religion. I just never understood why people get so upset about the fact that someone's praying.
Here's what and that's a great question, Chuck. Before I let you go, what are you grateful for today?
Well, as you know, I drive a truck, and I'm going home today.
Amen. So. Where are you right now?
Heading out of Kansas City, and then I got to go Centralia, head back to Kansas City, and then I'll be home.
Chuck, listening to Wake Up. We appreciate you, bud. Chuck listening in Kansas City this morning. Sandy listening on the app, which you can download for free. She's listening in Wyoming this morning. Here's what to answer your question, Chuck. Here's what I think. I think people that get frustrated when they see other people praying, it's because those people, they don't believe in God, and that's fine. I respect their reality. They don't believe that there's this religious being that's going to save the Goldstein's house because I prayed about it. That's their reality. They don't, and they get mad that other people do believe in something. That's just what I think. And if you don't agree, why get mad? If they believe in this religious God or whatever, that's their reality. Don't take that away from them. Can't take that. And I'm more of a spiritual person than a religious person. I had a guy one day say, because I'd sit around all the time, I'd be almost kind of pompous about it. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And finally, a wise old dude said to me one day, his name was Gene. And he says, Branden, what does that mean to you, being more spiritual than religious? I didn't have an answer because I was talking out of my rear end. It just sounded, I was like a Democrat. We're a sanctuary city. I don't know what it means until the illegals show up and I don't want them here. I didn't know what it means. And here's what he said, and I take this with me to this day. Religion is for people that are afraid of hell. Spirituality is, because spirituality has nothing to do with religion. I'll speak for myself, but spirituality is for people that have already been through hell. and they found the spiritual way of life to get them back on track. How did we get into a discussion about religion on a Feel Good Friday? My goodness.
You took it and ran with it, man.
It was John Christ, the Christian comedian. 874-9390. 874-9390. One more thing before we move on from hurricanes, because I want to highlight some audio. There's this video that's out there. It's been out there for a while, but it's Matt Taibbi, and he's kind of a political writer. Got to start, I think, with Rolling Stone magazine, and he had this video. It's up on YouTube, and it's just a montage of everybody. It was election fraud. The election was stolen. The video's from 2016. Mm-hmm. So it's all these Democrats talking about stolen election, stolen election. What YouTube did yesterday, fascinating. You talk about the media bias. Concrete example, Your Honor. We're going to do that like 5 minutes from now. Everybody remembers the famous, because they're saying this hurricane, it's in line with, it's in line with Katrina back, I think it was 2005. In New Orleans, and it went poorly, and well over 1,000 people lost their lives. It was disastrous. And then everybody remembers George W. Bush. I think he was actually in New Orleans, and he's talking to FEMA director Michael Brown.
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
Remember that? It became famous. Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. Kind of laughed, patted him on the back, and it was horrifying for the Bush administration because they completely mishandled what was going on. Michael Brown, the FEMA director, yesterday on Fox explained that moment when Bush said that. I think it's fascinating because we're really big on the C word here. Starts with the letter C, ends with the letter T. Context, context, context. There's context to this story, and I had never heard it before. Michael Brown told that story yesterday on Fox News. We'll do that 5 minutes from now, and hopefully the audio from this video that
Stolen. He's an illegitimate president. He's an illegitimate president. Pretending to be president.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he didn't.
1/3 of Clinton supporters say Trump election is not legitimate.
I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win.
You are absolutely right. You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
The 2016 election was stolen. Got a nicer way to say that?
Say Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia hacked our elections.
A little louder, please.
Russia hacked our election. That was a 9/11 scale event.
This was a kind of cyber 9/11. American institutions. Yes.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia, of course, hacked our election here.
Half of Clinton's voters believe the conspiracy theory that Russia hacked Election Day votes.
We know that they were into voting rolls. Actual interference with the elections themselves.
So that is a video on YouTube, and it goes on for 3 more minutes. There's a guy by the name of Matt Orfalea. He is the editor of a website. It's TK News. And he put this video together, and it's a montage. Remember all the claims, false elections, stolen elections, illegitimate president, 2016? 6 years ago, remember all that? Yeah, it was all over the place. You can't forget it. It had been on YouTube for a while, and those are just factual cuts and clips of Democrats and progressive talking heads talking about the election was stolen and all this. YouTube demonetized it. I said, you can't make money off this anymore.
I'm a little concerned about our YouTube channel after you played that.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, good point. How many times? We have a YouTube channel, and you can watch us on YouTube anytime you want. What we find a lot of people, like in small businesses, like a counter type of business, they put it up on the TV, on the smart TV. People running around the house in the morning, they're putting it up so all the kids, everybody getting ready for work and get local news, analysis, and opinion. How many times have we been yanked from YouTube? We've been suspended.
We've only been suspended once, and it was because we got a warning and someone didn't heed the warning, and we got in trouble for like 2 weeks. We weren't allowed to go live.
Why is
Not to point any fingers, but...
Marsh, why are you pointing the finger at me, dude? Come on, man.
It was something that Congressman Billy Long said on the show.
Yeah. Oh.
YouTube sent us a warning and said, hey, you're basically on probation. Somebody thought it was funny to keep playing the clip over and over again of Congressman Long saying what he said. And YouTube picked it up and said, you can't post for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they sent us to the penalty box.
And we had a special YouTube-only broadcast planned for that week.
Timeout. We were putting a timeout. Oh, yeah, we had a big YouTube event.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that wasn't funny. So YouTube... Right. So YouTube, they've demonetized the video, and smart people went, wait a minute. Why are you demonetizing that? If you're doing that, then why don't you go and demonetize all the claims about, it just shows the hypocrisy. That can't stand talking about all these Dems that were wrong and that lied, the Russian collusion and all that stuff and how they lied. And the bigger thing for me is that the national news outlets, they just, whatever, just don't care. Welcome to the show, Feel Good Friday. What are you grateful for? 874-9390, 874-9390. Nathan says via text, some heavy fog just south of Jefferson City, so keep that in mind. All right, before we move, coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock, Earl Shannon. And I didn't think this one through either, Hannah. Earl Shannon, for several years, been coming on the show, and he was like, we met him. He was this 12-year-old kid doing play-by-play for Centralia High School football. And it was cool because he was young and 12 and still had a kid-like voice. Well, now he's on the verge of driving a car, and I thought, well, it'd be fun to get Earl. It'll still be good. He's going to come in. Great story that we're going to share with you coming up on a Feel Good Friday. He is here at 7:10. We all know one of the other things we do want to get to, and I do want to share this. Michael Brown, and I'll just tell you now, Michael Brown, former FEMA director, he was the one. Well, I'm not going to have time to play the audio. I'm trying to stay on time here, and I want to pay this off. But, the infamous George W. Bush in New Orleans saying, you're doing a fine job, Brownie. And he wasn't, and resigned like 3 days later because the whole thing, the way they handled Katrina, was incredibly poor. And there was context to that story, and I'd never heard the story, and he told it on Fox News yesterday, and it's like, oh, okay, there's some context there, and basically is what he said. He said he was trying to tell the president, hey, this is bad. This is bad. President's handlers were like, hey, we got to go. Michael Brown didn't get the chance to tell him that. And that's why Bush said, hey, good job. And kind of interesting story. Earl Shannon, local kid doing play-by-play, joins us at 7:10. Yeah, I did the first one just to get people off my rear end and make sure I could go fly to see my grandkids in Idaho. And I'm not. I got my shot and 17 boosters. I draw the line at 17, man. You're protected against the hurricane. Hannah, did you get a vaccine?
I did, yes.
You're protected against the hurricane. God bless you, kid.
And for the fact that we live in mid-Missouri.
Yeah. Well, there's
that
too. Marsh, are you protected from the hurricane? By the way, quick traffic note in Jefferson City, 50, the Bighorn exit. There's a wreck, and that's jacking things up here a little bit on a Feel Good Friday. My name is Branden Rathert. Brian Houseworth is here, too. Glad you could join us on the show, Feel Good Friday. One of the things that we like. Oh, so big stories. Eric is suing Joe. Eric Schmidt and attorneys general from several other states, mostly Midwest states, with the exception of South Carolina, suing Joe Biden. They're saying, listen, this thing with the student loan forgiveness. And we had Phil Kerpen on earlier this week, and I forget the organization that he is.
I think it's Pacific Legal Foundation is filing that lawsuit in Indiana.
Okay. And then we had Phil Kerpen on from American Commitment. American Commitment, who said, this is not legal. And Eric Schmidt agrees with him, as do attorneys general in other states. And then tax cuts coming to you. Your paycheck's going to be looking different right now. Mike Parson, I'm guessing, is getting ready to pop over to the gubernatorial office, pull out that pen, and sign tax cuts into law. So I think those are the big stories. All the bridges are up, and we are wearing red today. And there's a reason that we wear red on Fridays.
We're remembering everyone deployed.
And we were wearing red in Jefferson City last night, highlight awareness for women's heart conditions. Welcome into the show. One of the things we like to do on Fridays is just highlight stories, just, cool people doing cool things, overcoming things, or people that I think attain some pretty decent accomplishments in life despite facing adversity, or kids from time to time who just, 10 years old saying, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me. That is the story of Earl Shannon, does play-by-play for Centralia High School. He is 13 years old, 8th grade. Earl, how long have we been knowing you, though? We've been knowing you for a while.
I believe this is the third year of me broadcasting, so this will be the third year of you guys knowing me.
So we had Earl Shannon on several years ago, and he kind of stumbled into doing play. And it's a cool story because, so at 10 years old, knew what he wanted to do, and he had cool catchphrases like this.
Hello, Mr. Boom Shakalaka has arrived.
That's from your very first...
Hello, Mr. Boom Shakalaka has arrived.
That's from your very first visit 3 years ago. And the first thing I notice is your voice doesn't sound like that anymore, man. You're turning into a young man. And you may not make for as good radio. And it was great when you were a kid with a kid voice doing cool, but now you're turning into a young man. So quickly, share the story of how you got into doing play-by-play for Centralia High School football.
So the year of 2020, the COVID year, of course, Centralia is in Boone County. And because of the Boone County Health Ordinance, we couldn't play games at home with full capacity. So we didn't play that many games at home. I think we only played the first game of the year at home. All the other games were on the road, so a lot of the Centralia football fans couldn't hear or couldn't watch the Panther football games, so I was doing my job to bring the game to them.
That was my little brother's senior year.
Wow. So what did you do? Did you have like a pirate radio station or something? Were you on the up and up? How did you do it?
I was on my dad's Facebook page, and it's kind of funny. My dad jokes he didn't have any friends on his Facebook page until I started doing the live streams on it.
So there's something to that, by the way. Last time you were in studio, I think it was one of our biggest days for views on YouTube because I was going through and looking at numbers. Okay, here's where we are. Man, look at the numbers on that day. What was it? And I go, Earl Shannon was on it. It's a true story. But then you kind of got into a little bit of trouble.
Well, Misha had...
Well, hey, every good story starts with a,
Well, so I think I actually did get canceled this past year doing a live stream for District Wrestling up in, I believe... We were in Higginsville, Missouri, and I was
13 years old and already canceled. You're going to fit in well on this show. By the way, just so you know, his mom is here and she's cool. If we do anything that's not cool, Marcia, you let us know. Yeah, okay. Go on.
All right, so the story starts by I'm live streaming this district wrestling, and over here comes the head coach of the wrestling team, and he's like, we got to stop this because Misha's doing their own broadcast. We can't do this. Apparently, they reached the athletic director of the school, and the athletic director then reached the head coach of the wrestling team, all to shut me down.
Wow. Did the feds come? Like, did the FBI come with a no-knock warrant and shut down your broadcast?
Who knows? They might have searched me like they searched Mar-a-Lago.
13 years old, been canceled, and going after the FBI. You're in big trouble. Earl Shannon is our guest here this morning on Wake Up. And by the way, we've got a little assignment for you this morning as we're watching this wreck west of Jefferson City, 50 at the Bighorn X. It's got traffic a little jacked up there. We got a little play-by-play assignment for you. And I'm really excited for it. I had to get permission before I sprung this on this person because I had to be sure.
You didn't get my permission.
Yeah, and there's a reason why. So what are you doing? How's it going? Are you, like, getting recognized out in the community and stuff?
That does happen a lot because every now and then people will say something to me walking down the street or something, but not too. I wouldn't say I get recognized too much.
Yeah. So here's what it's like for me. So I'll be somewhere. I'll be like at Schulte's grocery store and I'm shopping and somebody will come up and they'll go, "Are you Branden Rathert?" And I get kind of, "Yes, I am." They're like, "So what is Stephanie Bell like?" That's all they want to talk about. Stephanie Bell. Stephanie Bell. So how's it been going for you? Are you able to monetize this yet?
Well, I haven't monetized it yet. I've thought about possibly reaching out to some of the companies in the Centralia area and asking them if they wanted to give me something. I'll shout them out during my broadcast.
Man, canceled, going after the FBI, and he's got the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm going to go, hey, I'll give you a shout out. Name, image, likeness, Earl. Name, image, likeness. Earl Shannon, does young kid, we've been knowing 10 years old, been doing play-by-play for Centralia High School.
Yeah, Branden, I'm so glad you were able to bring Earl in. Earl, just in terms of the, and I've heard you, I think you do a fantastic job. It is not easy, I think, for people that are listening. Football is probably the hardest one to do because you have different players coming in and then you have the special teams and then players get injured and sometimes the jerseys don't match what's in the roster, so it can be very difficult. But what, in terms of your boards and in terms of what you prepare as you write stuff down before the game, what do you try to do when you do that to be prepared? Because I can tell from listening to you've done your homework, but how do you do that?
Well, most of the time that I spend doing that, what I do is I will search the game for the team from the past week, and then you click on the news section, you read the local news article from there, and they usually have statistics from their game.
Smart kid. That's something we talk about here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and News Radio 104.5 KWOS all the time. You get national stories from whether it's the mothership Fox, whether it's CNN, and I always then go to, if the story happened in Phoenix, I'm going to Phoenix news outlets because it's always very different. All right, we've got a little assignment for you. You ready to do some on the spot play-by-play?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, so here's the deal. We like to ride Steph, our little sister Steph. We like to ride her all the time because she's between her and Carrie Turgeon, the selfie queens of Mid-Missouri. She's giving Carrie Turgeon a run for her money. So she's going to take a selfie, and I want you to give us play-by-play of Stephanie Bell taking a selfie. Can you do that?
Yes, I can.
All right, Steph, you ready?
Okay.
All right, so Steph's going to stand up. Earl Shannon, 13 years, been doing play-by-play since he was 10 years old. So if you're in Centralia or you're a business owner anywhere here in mid-Missouri and you want Earl Shannon to endorse your product on his, he's all takers right now, baby. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, you got it.
All right, go ahead, Earl.
All right, so we're fixing the hair, making sure it's all lined up. Get the radio headphones on. We're
get the radio voice on.
Yep.
Get into it, Earl.
And then we're taking the picture. Moving the microphone. Have we taken it yet? Fixing everything up. And is the selfie through? Yes, it is. Boom, shakalaka.
Yes. Earl Shannon. Anything else you want to mention before we? Oh, Marsh has both Brian Houseworth for a lot of years. I know he's giving you advice. John Marsh, he's an award-winning play-by-play guy. Any tips for Earl? Maybe here's some other advice. Mom, can I play the audio from North County High School battle? Okay. And also be careful about this stuff. Earl, that is a high school football game, North County High School, I think in Bonne Terre area. Ken, a lot of people got upset because, you're going after a local high school. I will back them, but I don't think really this kid, he was not trying to be harmful. He was accurate in what he was saying, and that Battle High School, they take players, bad situations, and they can help them. And he said they're a violent team, and he was talking about because of all the flags in the game. And guess what? You did. Football's a violent sport. But I want to play this. We'll leave you with a little lesson here.
I did some research on Battle. They're a team that gets kids from really rough situations and puts them in a school and gets them out of rough situations from football and stuff. They're pretty much a violent team, honestly, with their flags.
So, but you get it. You've already been canceled. I love this. 13 years old and canceled. You just got to be careful sometimes. And don't apologize for stuff you ain't sorry for. But sometimes we have to choose our words carefully because a lot of people ain't as strong as me and you and stuff. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to say, we appreciate you. Text from John 874-9390. Best guest ever this morning. Oh, and then another one. Misha is worse. Is a worse animal than Columbia Public Schools. Oh, God. Earl Shannon.
I'll definitely say Misha is top of mind, though.
Earl Shannon, young man doing play-by-play high school football in Centralia. We appreciate you joining us this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. We'll see you, bud. All right, coming up.
I need to fact-check something that happened yesterday. I guess you'll just have to find out.
Good morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:25.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
I'm still not used to that.
I know, it throws everybody's on time. What?
So I know that our nominees for winners and losers of the week aren't technically due until 8:35 this morning.
And you can get those in 874-9390 if you have winners and losers of the week, especially winners on a local level here in mid-Missouri. Love to hear them.
But I feel like I needed to address my nomination early.
Okay.
I was all set to nominate myself for loser of the week for this moment that happened yesterday.
And now I'm not today. What is hot with Hannah?
McDonald's announced yesterday that they are rolling out some special promotional item that has a lot of adults really excited. They're bringing back Happy Meals, but they're doing it with a twist. It's Happy Meals for adults, and it comes with adult toys. So they
adult toys. Wait a minute.
Wait. By the way, that was Stephanie applauding. That wasn't me.
Okay.
In case you.
So I have posted this clip to the Wake Up Facebook page, and for everyone watching along with me at home right now, you will notice that we need to fact check something that was said from one Mr. Branden Rathert.
What did I say?
You immediately threw Stephanie under the bus for clapping when I said that they were bringing adult Happy Meals to McDonald's. And then you tried to say that you also weren't applauding. And if you look in the film, you were definitely clapping.
Did I say I wasn't applauding?
Yeah, you just said.
You said, like, for the record, that was Stephanie clapping.
Were you clapping?
I was clapping.
All right.
So were you.
Yeah. Who did you see who clapped first? It's a great video clip, by the way.
No. You didn't say Stephanie clapped first.
But Stephanie did clap, and I said that.
I mean, yeah.
It was great because, and if you go and watch the video on our social medias, it's the way that Stephanie claps. I think is the highlight. You see the giddiness there, Hannah?
You think I like a nerdy clap?
What?
The giddiness there, the way she claps.
Well, yeah, but
I'm very excited about adult Happy Meals because I still sometimes order a Happy Meal for myself. They're cheaper. Like, you don't need that much food. And so I'm excited.
So, fact check. I said Stephanie was clapping, and I was clapping, too. So much for theatrics of a radio show. Coming up
Wow, sorry. I didn't know that it was going to make you cranky.
Did you get triggered? So I'm not cranky. You want to keep going?
Well, we're almost out of time.
Okay. Coming up. So Hannah is, so you're nominating you and you're nominating me for loser of the week.
Yeah, we will share the nomination.
I will do. We will do that. You know, sometimes we all have Biden moments sometimes, and maybe that's a Biden moment for us. Also coming up, I love this story that Stephanie has actually brought to the table. See, I see some of these stories. I'm like, I wonder if Hannah and Steph and Marsh want to talk about this. I'm like, no, we better not. And then when they bring it to the table, I'm like, wow. Scandal has rocked the chess world.
True.
Yeah, and this is in Missouri. This happened, by the way.
Yeah, it was like in the Wall Street Journal. It was talking about St. Louis.
So it's kind of an interesting story. We'll get into that coming up a few minutes. It's got nothing really to do with politics. It's chess. Some of the big stories politically today. Eric suing Joe over the college student loan debt forgiveness program, tax cuts. Coming for us here in Missouri, some of the stories that we are working on for you this morning here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
But anyway, they evacuate the Keys, and everybody leaves except for one guy who's going to stay there and tie himself to a tree on the beach to prove a point. And the point was, he said that at 53 years of age, he was in good enough physical condition to withstand the wind and the rain from a Force 3 hurricane. All right. Let me explain something to you. It isn't that the wind is blowing. It's what the wind is blowing. If you get hit with a Volvo, it doesn't really matter how many sit-ups you did that morning.
Comedian Ron White. Love it. Feel Good Friday. Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Welcome to the show. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
That's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
John Marsh is here, as is Brian Houseworth. And I want to mention, Marsh, remember back 2005, remember the comment during Hurricane Katrina from Bush that kind of, was viral a word in 2005? Was that a thing?
I don't think so.
Okay. But if you will, would it be fair? It went viral on TV? Would that be a fair assessment, you think, John? Yeah. So is what happened. They've got George Bush complimenting Michael Brown. He was the FEMA director, and George Bush is in Katrina, and well over 1,000 people were dying, I guess, because they weren't vaccinated against the coronavirus, like Biden suggests you should do. And he says, "Nice job, Brownie."
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
Brownie, and it kind of became, for whatever in 2005 the equivalent would be to memes and things like that today. It came back really to bite him because they weren't doing a nice job. 3 days after that comment, Michael Brown was out of it. He was suspended from some of his duties, I think, the following day, and days after that, he was out. Well, there's context to the story, and I had never heard it. So Michael Brown, former FEMA director, he's on Fox News yesterday with Neil Cavuto, and Neil asked him, "Hey, I'm sure you get tired of talking about that, but that was such a big, pivotal moment in Bush's presidency. Tell us more about that."
You point out that
Brownie, you're
where
doing a
Bush
heck
said
of a
you're
job.
doing a heck of a job. Well, just
Brownie, you're doing a heck
before
of a
that,
job.
we were in a waiting room to go out for a photo op, and I was trying to explain to the president what was going on. And we got interrupted and said, "Look, we're running late. We got to go out there now." My mistake at that point was to say to Ari Fleischer and the others, "Look, stop. We don't, a photo op can wait. President must hear this."
So he's saying, listen, I've got the stuff, and I'm getting ready to show George, but his handlers were like, "Come on, dude, we got to go. We got to go." Michael Brown, according to him, didn't get the chance to tell George W. Bush, like, "Hey, this is way bigger than what we thought." And words like "nice job, Brownie" would not be appropriate here. By the way, we've got a lot of folks from mid-Missouri, as we always do, that are heading to Florida to help with cleanup, and I guess now South Carolina. Marsh, do you know? So I know we've got Task Force 1 that's going. Who else is on their way? Red Cross folks? I think that's cool because they're actually going and doing something. It's not like saying nice things. "Hey, we're a sanctuary city," and then when it comes time to do it, you don't do it. These are people that are actually doing stuff and said, "Hey, I'm going to go help." They're doing things, and I love that because, you know, we always say, we talk about mid-Missourians, we always come together when our fellow Americans are in need, and it's just another great example. Feel Good Friday. Stephanie brought this story. I'd heard about this. I always get weird talking about this stuff. And then you and Hannah are just totally comfortable with it. I'm like, maybe I'm too uptight sometimes.
It's not that weird, but Missouri's like making international news. And, you know, after significant investments by folks in Missouri, Missouri's kind of the chess capital of the world, and they host this big chess tournament.
And Rex Sinkfield, who's very involved in Missouri politics.
It is called the Sinkfield Cup, and it's hosted in St. Louis. And Magnus Carlsen, who is a world chess champion, was playing a guy named Hans Niemann, who is a 19-year-old American player. And this was at the Sinkfield Cup Pro Tournament earlier this month. And I'm looking at Rolling Stone, and it says the withdrawal of reigning world chess champion Magnus Carlsen from the Sinkfield Cup Pro Tournament in St. Louis, Missouri this month sent shockwaves of suspicion and paranoia through the chess community. And so, I mean, and I I'd kind of heard about it, but now it's really hitting the news just in the last couple days because Magnus Carlsen, I guess this kid beat him, and he basically walked out of the tournament, like withdrew from the tournament, which is unheard of. And then they had a rematch a couple weeks later at a different chess tournament, and after one move between these two players, Magnus Carlsen was said, "I'm out," and now he's officially released a statement that he thinks this guy is cheating. But they're it is making news and becoming kind of an internet center for drama because of the way in which you can cheat. So they're thinking, in computers or whatever, if you're not in a live game, there are different ways you can cheat. But if you're two people sitting in a room, there are limited ways in which you can cheat. So there are all sorts of theories. Some of them involve devices in which
you get signals.
Yeah.
Like who is it? Like because I'm thinking back to the movie Hangover and other movies where they go in, and Rain Man's another one where they go in and they have a system and they can rip off casinos by playing cards, counting cards, what have you, and they use various. Is it like that? I don't know. I know nothing.
If you Google, you can find the theories, but they're interesting. And it's kind of rocking the chess world. And they're saying, it's kind of like a gentleman's game. It's a respected game. You have to be very smart to play. And so, but there are computers that you can play against it. And so, anyway, it's a small. I mean, I think the chess community is pretty small, like international, and it's just like it is. It's causing shockwaves throughout this community, especially when your top players are saying, "Look, unless you can figure out this cheating stuff, I'm not going to even play."
How come we don't have checkers tournaments? Why isn't Missouri the checkers capital of the world? I could get on. By the way, Arkansas, I think Arkansas, the Attorney General in Arkansas, I think is basically the genesis of this lawsuit against Joe Biden. Eric Schmidt, he's part of this lawsuit, too, and it's fascinating what they're saying. And this has to do with a student loan forgiveness program. They're saying basically what you're doing here is unconstitutional. I think it's kind of interesting because Phil Kerpen was on the show earlier this week. He is with American Commitment, and he was telling us how, this is really this just seems to be against the law, and they're just using false arguments to even make this thing kind of seem even somewhat reasonable. And here's what they're doing. They're saying it oversteps its executive powers. And what Eric Schmidt, our Attorney General and U.S. Senate candidate, what he is doing is nothing short of brilliant. So the reasoning for doing student loan forgiveness was the effects of the pandemic on federal student loan borrowers. And so let's just wipe out the 10. Even though you said, wouldn't that be nice if you bought a car, the pandemic and what government did by shutting down business and stuff, I couldn't make any money. Why don't you pay off the loan for my car, too?
Well, and I think, we heard Nancy Pelosi say it, a year ago or whatever. Biden doesn't have the authority to issue, to use the executive power to issue student loan forgiveness. Biden thinks he found a loophole, and it's for, it's actually related to the military in times of emergencies, and that's when it's been used in the past. And so I think Schmidt's coming in and saying, the only loophole you have to stand on is in emergencies, and you just said on TV that the emergency is over. So you can't have it both ways.
So they're highlighting in this lawsuit. They're saying this emergency thing is not in effect, and they're saying, well, how come? And Eric Schmidt and these other attorneys general from basically Midwest states, with the exception of South Carolina, are saying because this happened on 60 Minutes almost 2 weeks ago.
The pandemic is over.
Joe Biden said the pandemic is over. Then you don't have these emergency powers to do this thing.
She doesn't know.
Yeah, I got nothing.
They sell them, and they sell them off a lot. Like when I was making payments, I bet they changed, hands a few times. I was constantly getting a new service provider.
So I think it's brilliant, and I love on Twitter. Eric Schmidt says if the elites want student loan forgiveness, Harvard and Yale can drain their endowments to pay for it. Eric Schmidt on fire on the Twitter. What a scam, the student loan forgiveness. So many people. I mean, again, I go to people like Stephanie and Houseworth, who borrowed money to go to school and paid it all back and paid it off faithfully because you said, that's what I'm going to do. You signed paperwork, right? Said, I, Stephanie Bell, I'm going to do this. And I'm a person of my word. Now, I would take the money, too, because it's still my money. I paid the taxes it's paying. It's just coming back to me. It's circular.
And it just incentivizes the wrong things. I've got plenty of friends who are working in public service who have dutifully and made not very much and have dutifully paid it back. And I've got other friends who have had high-paying jobs, who drive a BMW, who travel all over the world and still carry student loan debt. And those are the people that are getting this money, that don't need it, that have just spent unwisely or prioritized different things. And it doesn't really reward, it doesn't incentivize the kind of behavior or the kind of things we want to. It does nothing to bring down the actual cost of going to school. And I think about, Eric Schmidt is a Truman State grad. Have to throw that out there. But, Truman State really does lift people out and offers people opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise get. And so for me, for example, they offer tons of scholarships and they're really like automatic. So at the time that I went, it was like $8,000 and they offered me about half of it, and it really, there were times where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to afford that. And I think there are people who are thinking, can I even go to college? And there are colleges out there that are raising private funds that are, and using their public funds in a way to offer an education to people who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford it. And then you've got these, Yale grads who take out $200,000. They've got the endowment, and that's who we're going to help. Like, let's give more money to Truman State, please.
And it's just to your point about all these people that, there's some went to school and they paid that student loan. That was the first thing they paid off. They made sacrifices and now live. And then there's people got out of school and bought the BMW, travel all the time, still paying off student debt. Now they're not going to. So we've funded, and talk to somebody who's been, who has served our country on the GI Bill. Get their opinions on it. What a scam. Speaking of scam, Cole County Sheriff John's here. What he's saying about a scam going on? We see this locally several times a year. It seems like. Or don't believe everything you hear on the radio either. We should throw that in there. But they're saying, hey, we're not going to call you and say,
Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here to help make this a reality.
No, Joe, what are you doing? That's so awkward. Oh, man. And his explanation didn't help. You know, he's like, of course I knew Jackie was dying. I was looking for Jackie Kennedy. Where's Jackie Kennedy? Where are you, Jackie? Where's Jackie? Oh. Look, I mean, I guess on the upside, at least he noticed that she wasn't there. This is a good thing. Yeah, it could have been much worse if he was like, where's Jackie? Oh, there she is. There's Jackie. Everyone look at Jackie. He'd be like, there's no Jackie. She's there. Everybody sees Jackie. And look, I know a lot of people are saying that this is another example of Biden's brain being foggy, but I think, if anything, this makes Biden a better president. Yeah, think of how hard he must be working right now to keep Americans safe, knowing that Osama bin Laden is still out there somewhere. Where is he? Where is he, Jack? Where is he? Where is he?
Trevor Noah, who, by the way, so he's hosted The Daily Show on Comedy Central for, I think, the past 7 years, announced last night he's leaving the show. I don't know how much it's going to shake up the nighttime talk show circuit. You know who has the #1 show on the late night talk shows?
Fox.
Right? Greg Gutfeld. Less than a month ago, he kept approaching these record numbers. And what's so remarkable about that? It's on Fox. And obviously, it's in fewer homes because it's on cable. He is beating Fallon. He is beating Kimmel. He is beating whoever else is out. Oh, Stephen Colbert beating him on Fox, beating these broadcast television shows, late night shows. And now Trevor Noah's. I've never seen his show. I see some clips from time to time. Some of the stuff is okay. I used to, and I don't get to watch it because it comes on 10 o'clock at night, but used to really enjoy Jon Stewart's Daily Show. Welcome into this show. This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. John Marsh is here. It's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
Brian Houseworth is here, too. My name is Branden Rathert. A couple of restaurants in Missouri. TripAdvisor, which I guess for folks that travel is kind of a big thing. You get onto TripAdvisor, you're going new into a town, and it's kind of, hey, what are the cool restaurants here? What is that kind of? Do you ever use TripAdvisor?
Not really.
No. World's largest travel industry platform. I've heard of it, but frankly, I don't know what they do on the website TripAdvisor, except for, I don't know, I guess advice about things. And every year they come out with these awards and stuff like this. They did the 2022 Best of the Best Restaurants list earlier this week, and they have a category, Hidden Gems. Two places in Missouri made the list, and they both happen to be in Branson. Pick and Porch Grill and Rocco's New York Style Pizza. I haven't eaten at either one of those places. Really? Is it that good? Like a hit? When you were picking up one of your many awards over the years. Or Brian Houseworth. Pick and Porch Grill, Rocco's New York Style Pizza listed the 7th and 8th best hidden gems in the entire United States. And as far as I know, the only restaurants from Missouri that made the list. More restaurant news. Taco Bell's bringing back one of its menu items.
Ooh.
And then this, you said you don't like to eat, so you do the adult Happy Meals from McDonald's once in a while, and Taco Bell once in a while.
And Ashland's getting a Taco Bell, so maybe more frequently. I don't know.
They're bringing back one of its most requested discontinued items. It's the enchilada. Yeah, it's mine too. And
what is an enchilada?
It's all basically any food. It's like Italian food, the Mexican food. It's all the same. It's just different shaped stuff. And it's ground beef and taco sauce and cheese and stuff, right? And tortillas and. I guess it's the onions and the special red sauce they use. Do you recall, John? No. Olives. And I think they used a different sauce. Maybe. But it's all the same, really, right? Any Mexican? Yeah.
Any Hispanic people listening to us call Taco Bell Mexican food is probably cringing right now.
Good point. Good point. Hannah will be one of our winners of the week at 8:35. If you have somebody you'd like to nominate, get us a text 874-9390. 874-9390. Coming up, big weekend for the Cardinals, especially 3 of them. Want to highlight some of what's happening there at 8:10. very bad. Couple of weeks, really, I think, for the White House. Maybe that bodes well for the rest of us. Eric Schmidt has a new campaign ad, and the ad is, I don't know what you say about the visual aspect of it. There's no guns in it or blowtorches.
Right.
But I think it's a really effective ad. It's a campaign ad. I want to do that here just a few minutes here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 theeagle.com and News Radio 104.5 KWOS. Welcome into the show. Something we can do for you, 874-9390, 874-9390. Somebody says, I feel good about the beautiful weather that we're going to have for the inaugural Rock Bridge Marching Festival tomorrow morning, starting at 10:30 with all the hard work the kids have put in from 13 Missouri high schools. Their marching bands, including Hannah's hometown of Centralia. They're in the event. North Callaway, Southern, Boone, Hickman, Battle, Rockbridge, Capital City. They'll perform tomorrow at the Rockbridge Stadium. They deserve the nice weather, 75, and then cooling down into about the upper 60s. By the time we get into game time, number one dogs in town. If you're a Georgia fan, you're in town. We appreciate you checking out Wake Up Mid-Missouri, and we hope you enjoy this area and go easy on us.
They travel really well. They really do. Brandon, you and I have talked about it, and you've been here a long time. Georgia travels it probably as good as, maybe even better than Nebraska. And what sticks out to me is how friendly their fans are. Yeah. They're really good folks.
As a matter of fact, so we do our Tiger tailgates, and you can go to our websites, 939theeagle.com, KWOS.com, and get free passes for the Tiger tailgates tomorrow, a couple hours prior to game time. I think kickoff is it 6:30?
6:33 to be exact. Yeah.
All right, so our tailgate opens at 4:33.
Exactly.
To be exact. Exactly. Hey, I'm dealing with journalists here, and Marsh and Brian. Got to be exact.
It's all good.
4:33, man. A lot of free food, free drink from Bud Light, High Noon Hard Seltzers, Buffalo Wild Wings. So here's what you do. You can go to places like Big O Tires in Columbia and in Jefferson City. You can go to Casper 66 in Lynn, Missouri, and you just go and you ask, hey, I heard you got some free passes from KWOS and 93.9 The Eagle for the Tiger Tailgate. And they'll just give them to you, man. Mm-hmm. And then join us 2 hours prior to kickoff tomorrow, and you come in, and it's free food and drink. And guess who's going to be there?
I was going to say, even better than free food and free alcohol, I'm going to be there.
Right.
Producer Hannah.
Awesome.
Such a lovely crew this morning. Wow.
Sorry, John.
You guys will have fun.
By the way, big high school local football matchup. This one, years in the making. It's been going on for years, Marsh. Yeah. But it's one of those games on a local level. You get up for the game, and people go and watch. Doesn't care what the records are. It's
and it's the second oldest rivalry west of the Mississippi River.
That is huge. Pretty impressive. So a couple of big stories today. Number one, tax cuts coming to Missouri. Governor Parson, I don't know exactly when he's going to sign this, but
I talked to Kelly Jones about this actually last night. Kelly was up late, and I appreciate her getting back to me. Without saying too much, they are trying to do, there's some paperwork, and they also have to finish the agriculture bill potentially next week, but no final decision's been made.
So you've already reached out to Kelly. She's like the person for Mike Parson. I was telling producer Hannah this morning, I'm like, I almost reached out to Kelly Jones.
You absolutely could have, yeah.
I'm trying to find out the status of state employees on Black Friday. I didn't know if they're not having the day off yet.
That's a great
because there's something in it for me. So I wanted to ask Kelly Jones, like, Kelly, do you know yet? Has the governor decided what we're doing on Black Friday? Because I'm sure it's, you're talking about tax cuts and all this other stuff, state government, and I'm just wanting to know if the employees are off on that feel-good Friday.
I can tell you that decision probably has already been made, and she probably could get you the answer, and I'm sure that decision's been made.
And yesterday, the governor did amend the special session call, and when I heard that, I was like, oh, is it going to include sports betting or something, one of these other things? But minor changes, just still focused on income tax cuts and agriculture.
So it's a little bit, and that kind of will get us in, because Eric Schmidt, I think, has a really good campaign ad here, but it's about real things. And this tax cut that's happening for us Missourians, this is a real, concrete, tangible things. You will see a difference in your paychecks. And that kind of stuff, it matters. It's important, I think.
Yeah, and I think it hits back because, Trudy Bush Valentine has two ads, one dealing with abortion, but the other one dealing with China, saying like Eric Schmidt loves China or something. And his ad is like all-American Eric Schmidt, the all-American guy.
Yeah, it's great stuff. So then the other big thing, our Attorney General, Eric Schmidt, is joining, I think, 5 other states in a lawsuit. They're suing Joe. What Phil Kerpen told us on the show this past week, he says, we think what the Biden administration did with student loan forgiveness, it's illegal. They're using emergency powers, and this doesn't fit. And in a move of brilliance in the lawsuit, they're saying we're not under an emergency. And they're saying, well, can you present proof? And Eric Schmidt and the other folks will say, well, yes, we can. He was on 60 Minutes less than 2 weeks ago saying the pandemic is over. Wow.
That's pretty powerful.
By the way, and we did ask Eric Schmidt to be on. He's a busy guy. He's the Attorney General for Missouri, but I think it is still important to hear from him while serving Missourians who pay and voted for him to be there. I think it is important. But we didn't find out about this until yesterday, so I don't know if they could do it today. But it would be nice to hear from them in the next couple of days. We have a Libertarian candidate for Senate. I've been trying to reach out to all these other. Yeah. I've reached out to Trudy Bush Valentine twice. No response.
That's disappointing. I don't understand that, because
I think it could be the reputation of talk radio precedes itself.
But
do you think there's something to that?
I think if you're a Democrat, and I'm glad you reached out, and we absolutely should reach out. And if she has an event here, we will cover it. But if you're Trudy Bush Valentine, your aides need to tell you that there are Democrats, a number of them, who listen to the Eagle. The perception is that 100% of our audience is Republican. That is false. I mean, there are Democratic voters in mid-Missouri, and not all of them are in the city of Columbia. They're not as many as they used to be, but if you're her, I would think she'd want to come on and at least get back to you. And I'm not saying her staff.
Right. And I even said, like, hey, we'll hear you out. We don't need to get mean and argue about. We'll listen to you.
Did you say, hey, like Claire and I used to hang out on the show all the time? You should drop her name.
That's a good point. Jonathan Dine, Libertarian candidate for U.S. Senate. He's coming on. I always like to, because I love a lot of the Libertarian stuff. Hands off, leave me alone, quit taking all my tax dollars. I like a lot of that stuff. But mostly I'm interested, how is this guy's campaign going? What is he hearing from voters when he goes to these things around the state? It was chatting via text with another well-known Missouri Libertarian candidate. And I asked him, I said, do you think this guy has a chance to win? He said, well, no. But I think our analogy earlier this morning is like a bill in Jefferson City. You put a bill in that first year, it's not going to pass, is it? It takes a while.
It takes a while for the most part. Sometimes it'll take 10 years. But the biggest thing for somebody like Dine, there's only 4 candidates on the ballot. Everybody focuses on not, us. We've talked about the others, but it's Schmidt and Valentine. Dine's the Libertarian. There's a guy named Paul Venable, the Constitution.
Yes, but reached out to him too.
And I'm glad you did that. The important thing to remember when there is a debate, or if there's a debate, the other 2 candidates, I would argue, should be on that stage. They're on the ballot. They should now some outlets will disagree with that, but they're out there. But your aim, if you're Dine or Venable, is to be on the stage with the others, present your viewpoints. Neither one are going to win. You at least get a chance to present your viewpoints and get your view out there. But I would argue it is newsworthy, and I think they should be included, both of them, the Libertarian and the Constitution, in any debate. I think they should be on the stage, at least be invited.
Well, I don't think there's going to be a debate. I think that's probably been settled. But I will say also, I don't think it's like the a piece of legislation, because I think you give the Libertarian Party in Missouri 10 years and they're still not going to win. If this guy, I think for Libertarians, the best chance that they have, and we have a lot of Republicans or people with an R behind their name who are really libertarians. And so, yeah, if this Dine guy eventually gets smart and puts an R behind his name, could get probably elected as a libertarian Republican. But I don't think he's going to get elected as a straight up libertarian.
Not in this state, not at all. And even House seats, they've not won a House or a Senate seat.
Do you also think that there's some libertarians that say they're libertarian, but they're really a Republican? Because I think that's an interesting, that's kind of
perhaps, yeah.
All right. Okay, we got to move forward. I want to highlight this Eric Schmidt for Senate campaign ad.
I'm Eric Schmidt, and I'm a grill dad who flips a mean burger. But thanks to
I probably should give some context first, Steph. He's at the grill. He's grilling. He's got some burgers. He's grilling burgers. Got the jeans on, shirt tucked in, sleeves rolled up, and a spatula instead of a gun in his hand.
Biden, it now costs an arm and a leg to cook out. Ground beef is up 36%. That's crazy. Biden's inflation's taking the sizzle out of our economy.
And that part there, he's poured from a red Solo cup. He's poured some water onto the Weber grill.
And costing your family over $700 a month.
Now, here's why I think that is a really good campaign ad. He's putting real numbers out there. The cost of ground beef, 37%, has gone up 37% since the tragic events of January the 20th of 2021. And he's talking about how much it's costing the average family. Think about this. You're a family of four. You got a couple of little kids in grade school, and you're commuting back and forth between Ashland and Jefferson City to work. Your costs since show has been gone up more than $700 a month. And I wish more conservatives all across the country would use this fact-based stuff that matters, things that will hit you. Coming up, we are going to be doing the Morning Bell Business News. A little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you. What do you have for us?
We haven't talked about Elon lately, so we got to talk about
go. It's 8:25. Time for the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Elon is on the Twitter machine again, stirring up controversy. Apparently, he has this new Cybertruck that's coming out, an electric Cybertruck, and it is ugly. Have you seen it?
I think I have.
It is.
Yeah. I don't.
What does that even look like? It's very angular. It's not cute.
It looks like an 8th grader tried doing a science experiment with cardboard boxes to make a vehicle.
Okay, but it's pretty fantastic, apparently. And so Elon is saying that the Cybertruck will be waterproof enough to serve briefly as a boat, so it can cross rivers, lakes, and even seas that aren't too choppy. So he's like all about going into space, but now he's got a truck that you can drive through the water like a boat, which just, and it's an electric truck that you then put it in the water. I'm skeptical.
Well, and so I got to wondering with the flooding, and of course, what's our phrase when the water's high? Don't drive through it, no matter if you think it's shallow or whatever. And we see it during flooding here in Missouri. There's always somebody a couple times a year. For whatever reason, thinks, no, it's fine. We saw it during the hurricane in Florida, and we're going to see it in South Carolina. But I'm wondering, like, what if you try and take an electric vehicle like a Tesla through a puddle that, okay, in your car, you'd be real dicey about it, but you'd do it anyway. No worries, as long as water's not too high. What about an electric vehicle?
I don't know.
I have no idea either.
I don't either. And I assume all of those people who tell you, like, don't drive, now you're going to get people in there and be like, well, Elon said that, this car is basically a boat. He was saying something, I guess he's got one of his facilities. He says we need to be able to get from Starbase to South Padre Island, which requires crossing the channel. And I guess you can drive, but you have to drive around because there's no bridge connecting or over this channel. So it's like an hour and a half drive. So he's like, I'm just going to take my car boat across this channel to get to South Padre. But interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know. I need to see somebody else drive this thing through the water.
I know.
Before I would.
Somebody said something to me the other day. Well, how come conservatives don't? Oh, and he was using the language I use. He says, how come smart people, referring to conservatives, how come conservatives don't like electric cars? And I said, I don't think that's true. Everybody I know that does own an electric vehicle
is a conservative.
Yeah.
But that's because you only know conservatives. No, but true. No, So for real, I have a lot of my conservative friends drive EVs.
It's not that conservatives don't like electric vehicles. It's that conservatives don't like that it's being forced on them. It's that conservatives don't like when you have a state like California says, we're taking away your freedom to choose come 2035. We don't like this stuff is being forced upon us. There's an AP headline. EPA doubles money for electric school buses as demand soars. That's a BS headline. And here's why. Because demand for these buses and they're saying the demand is soaring. It's a created demand because the government is telling us you can't have these cars anymore. There's not people aren't rushing to the stores looking to buy an electric vehicle. Schools across the nation aren't looking, oh yeah, let's get an electric vehicle. They are being forced. They are being forced to do it. So when the Associated Press has a headline, demand soars, that's BS.
Well, and someone pointed out, Florida, in terms of a natural disaster, they're mainly out of power. What are all the people down there doing with their EVs?
It's not that we don't like the cars. We just don't like, 300, it's not a conservative thing. It's just like, yeah, it's okay if that's what you want. But don't force it. I thought that was interesting. Coming up, favorite part of the week. Number one, the show is almost over. And then the other thing, we are doing winners and losers. Get your nominations in 874-9390.
like my aunt, God bless her, she lives down in Florida. There was a hurricane came to town. She texted. She goes, "Hey, John, there's a hurricane coming to town. We're fine, but don't worry about us. But our neighbors have a $5 million house on the beach, and they're very concerned about it. Can you pray?" No. How am I supposed to pray for that? Jesus be with all the orphans and widows and missionaries. Also, you know the Goldsteins? Yeah, from Boca Raton. Listen, we just asked. This is tough, but when those floodwaters come ashore tomorrow, would you just direct those waters around their house to other smaller, poorer people's houses?
I love that. Stephanie's turned me on to this. Is it John Crist?
John Crist. He's hilarious.
Not really, as far as I know, not related to Charlie, the guy running for office again in Florida. But funny, and he got kind of an interesting story. Encountered some issues in life, picked himself, got back up, and Chumbawamba, tub thump, and got back up again. He's doing okay, does some Christian comedy, things like that. I rather appreciate his comedy. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Mid-Missouri. John Marsh, Brian Houseworth, Stephanie Bell, producer Hannah. My name is Branden Rathert.
And now for nominees for the winners and losers of the week.
Winners and losers of the week. We do it every Feel Good Friday here on the show, and you can always make contributions. You can text, or you can even call in somebody, 874-9390, especially like on locally or here in Missouri. Any winners? And you got anybody who's a winner locally? We love that kind of stuff. 874-9390, 874-9390. My first winner of the week, I am putting forward our Attorney General. We did try to get him on the show this morning. Wasn't able to work it out, but chatting with his office, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Still do need to hear from our Attorney General. And some of these important things still been involved in this lawsuit going after Joe over the student loan forgiveness. And it's under the guise of, hey, emergency orders, I'm the president, I can forgive that. And Eric Schmidt and the attorneys general from several other states are saying, no, we're not an emergency anymore. And the proof? They're using Joe Biden's own words against him.
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem.
So last week, 2 weeks ago almost, pandemic is over. So Eric Schmidt, one of our winners of the week, and hopefully straighten out what this $400 billion it's going to cost us.
And I echo your comment, Branden. And I know he's busy, the Attorney General, because he's in the courtroom a lot, et cetera. But we really want him in his capacity as Attorney General, because that is in his role as the Attorney General. Be good to hear from him, and I hope we get him on next week on this specific issue. That'd be good for our listeners to be able to hear.
And then locally, I want to nominate these folks.
Number one, have a great support system. Number two, don't ignore signs that your body is giving you. I think with my situation, I was having very minor symptoms, but over time they could have been very drastically bad.
Go Red event. Go Red for Women. It was an event hosted by the American Heart Association last night. It brings women really across the U.S. all together for a lunch, and this was in Jefferson City. That was Christy Knott. She is chair for the Go Red for Women campaign in Jefferson City. KOMU is chatting with her afterwards. So, yeah, another winner of the... Oh, and I got some other stuff. Columbia and Jefferson City, some Midwest think tank. Columbia and so they cover the Midwestern states. Columbia and Jefferson City named some of the best places for startup businesses. I thought that's a little feather in our cap in mid-Missouri. Awesome. Steph, what do you got?
I mean, the people of Missouri. It was skeptical on whether or not we would get this tax cut, and I think it matters. And I think as much as people say, well, it's not going to be that much back in your pocket. Right now, every little bit helps. And I do think when we're trying to recruit businesses, they're looking at they have to recruit employees, and we know with Tennessee, they have a low income or no income tax. I think it helps.
Look at American Outdoor Brands and Smith & Wesson, I think it is. At Smith & Wesson, the guns that go through American Outdoor Brands up there on 70, is it Route Z?
Z, right there at the Centralia exit, right?
Boone County was harsh on them, and they said, screw you, we're taking our several hundred jobs and all the money, and we're going to Tennessee. Man, and it is a big thing because we look at the campaigns that people like Florida and Texas on a statewide level, the campaigns that they're doing in other states with advertising and marketing to people in other states. Like, hey, you want a more friendly environment? You want to live with a bunch of smart people, and instead of being in Illinois or Massachusetts or California, come to Florida or Texas. Good call. Houseworth. What do you got?
I've got 2 nominees, both for winners. I'll keep them short. One, the transportation professionals, Brandon, Stephanie, and Hannah, that I met this week across the state at the MoDOT conference. They're dealing with a lot of things, including distracted driving, and they're dealing with texting while driving and speeding. So kudos to them. We came out of there with good stories. And 2, and I'm not being facetious when I say this, I'm 51 now. I've got progressive lenses, and I struggle. They literally try to fall off my face sometime. But the guy I'm nominating, and you'll see him on TV all over the broadcast tomorrow night, is Will Muschamp. In fact, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Will Muschamp's glasses to see what I'm talking about. And I don't know how in the world that man and his glasses stay on his face, because they go way, way down, actually almost as far as Chuck Schumer. And he's running around. He gets real animated. People kind of mock him because he didn't do a real good, he had not a great record at South Carolina. But he talked about that. He talked about, getting gray hair and his vision and stuff. But he's got those progressive lenses, and somehow they stay on his face. So you'll see that tomorrow night. I don't know how he does it, but he does. Will Muschamp, I nominate for a winner of the week.
You agree? You on board with that one, John? Oh. Who you got, John?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think OSHA's checking that out now. They want to know what's going on. Yeah, that's a good call. And I want to mention, because Hannah's got a couple on her list. She's been building it since like 7 o'clock this morning, or 7 o'clock yesterday morning. She's been...
Wasn't the best of singers, but I knew one time he said, I'm going to give it an effort, and he did. And I thought, if he can do it, I certainly can. And I tried. I just don't. The Jeffersons, I didn't watch as much. I did not. But I can certainly. Barnaby Jones is a great song. There's not a whole lot of lyrics in there, but there are a few.
Hannah, what do you got for winners and losers of the week?
Well, first off, we are all winners of the week because Hocus Pocus 2 came out overnight.
Oh.
Which reminds me, did you get the text I sent you yesterday?
I did.
Nick Parks, Lakeside Ashland, at the big movie screen they've got. It's right off of 63. They're doing Hocus Pocus 1 and 2.
Yeah, so we're all winners because we all get to be graced by the long-awaited sequel. And we're all winners of the week here in the studio because we're just kind of awesome like that.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little distracted. I think we're also winners because our front desk lady, who's an angel, just brought us donuts.
Right.
Yay.
Amen. Yes.
Here you go, John. Take your pick, bud. You go first. Except don't take that one. That's one I want. Who else? I'm going to call Ted Cruz a winner of the week.
And they scream racist, racist, racist. But you know what, President Obama? You know what, President Biden? You know what's racist? When Joe Biden sits by and lets 4.5 million people cross into this country illegally, and he doesn't care. You know what's racist?
Yeah, and he went on for a while there. He was on fire.
He was fired up, no doubt.
Who else? Oh, how about the CNN? And we saw it with the hurricane coverage over the past several days. A lot. Listen, there's a lot of drama when they're reporting. I've seen it. I've been next to the Weather Channel van, and while they're out there on the beach with the umbrella, and oh my God, I can't believe I'm even standing. I have seen by their van a whole plastic trash can full of umbrellas. It's theater, man. We get it. And now these tornado or the hurricane. People reporting from the hurricane, they were wearing like military grade helmets. That's a new one. I hadn't seen that yet. Or they were like wearing like baseball batting helmets.
Yes.
It was Crazy. And there's some audio here. I want to play this. Context is, dude's out in the middle of the street for CNN. He's wearing his military-grade helmet, and he's got the microphone, and he's leaning into the wind, so he doesn't blow away. Looks like a street in a smaller downtown area. You maybe envision kind of like a downtown Columbia, maybe. Kind of like that. A few cars out on the street.
And battered by this violent wind is enough reason for us in the National Weather Service to issue those extreme wind warnings.
You can hear the struggle in his voice, and he keeps turning around and can't complete his report because it's so... Swear to God, behind him there's a dude just walking across the street, like his hand in his pocket and stuff. Oh, my God.
The guy that's walking behind reminds me of the guy that walked through our photo shoot when we were in a windstorm, and our hair's all going, and he just walks through smoking a cig, just chilling, and he's like, hey, guys, what's up? Right in the middle.
Some of us had hair blowing around.
Do we have, see, we could do, the budding relationship, winner of the week. Guess who's getting in love?
He complimented me. He thanked me for the immediate response we had. He told me how much he appreciated it.
That's Joe Biden, Ron DeSantis, budding romance there. I love that take on it. All right. Coming up, we will do some leftovers here on a Feel Good Friday. Interesting text. And it has something to do, nice text from a new texter by the name, from a dude by the name of Mike. And it has something to do with the Gary Nolan Show. Pretty cool and powerful. I hope you'll be able to stick around and hear that. We're doing that 5 minutes from now.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers. Enjoy.
We've opened up the fridge, checking out leftovers before we hand things over to Gary Nolan. I do want to mention this real quick. I love what Gary Nolan does. He's here 9 to noon every day here at the radio station. And he does something called Frost Your Buns Friday. You call about anything, talk about whatever you want. Dude by the name of Spoonbill. Text us at 874-9390. Hey, Brandon, I know it's Frost Your Bun Friday on Gary's show, but I like your show. I'm kind of upset about the student loan thing. Instead of going to college, I didn't have grades or the money. I couldn't afford to go to college, so I went to the United States Navy. That's where I got my education, as well as being out here and just living life. He says, we didn't go to a college. He said, I never got that opportunity, and taking a loan out was out of the question. Because I learned a long time ago, you borrow money from somebody, you always punch the clock for somebody else. And I've never borrowed money for anything in my life, not cars, no houses, and all this good stuff. So he's saying, in effect, he went to the military and did all this stuff. But these people who, they got this money to go to college, free college for a lot of them, or at least a substantially reduced rate of college. Spoonbill, thanks for texting in on the show, and God bless you for serving our country. A couple things we didn't get to in leftovers. I thought this was really cool, and I got to be honest, man. When I first saw the story, and listen, I'm a big advocate for mental health awareness, somebody who's suffered from depression a lot of years and addiction and all that stuff. By the way, if you know somebody who needs help, or it's you can't quit drinking, can't quit the drugs, feel free to reach out to me. I can hold your hand and show you what was taught to me and what's been working for me for 767 days. But there's a new, Missouri has launched a mental health hotline. We know we've got the new, I think it was 988 was released this past summer, and it's doing well. And there's another new hotline, but it's specifically for farmers. And my initial reaction is like, okay, can't we just have a mental health hotline? Do we need one for every single different profession? That was my initial thing. And then Chris Chin with the MDA schooled me on that pretty quickly.
So this year we've seen a lot of input costs more than double. Our feed costs have gone up. Our fuel costs have gone up. We've had the supply chain challenges, difficulty in sourcing fertilizer. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, it's been especially bad for farmers. And you look at what the ag industry does for the economy here in Missouri, supply chain challenges, difficulty in trying to even get fertilizer, and then the fuel and the diesel to ship it from here to there and all that stuff. They have had it especially harsh. And then in KOMU, they talked to somebody else, and the other thing is this guy said, now think about the farmer. A lot of times it's a generational farm, family to family to family. And a lot of that stereotype holds true, the stoic farmer who emotionally never wavers or will let you know that he's having a down moment. It's a stereotype. He says, yeah, except sometimes they do. So I'm like, oh, all right. Steph, anything for leftovers?
Well, the Truman statue was dedicated yesterday in D.C., and there's some funny pictures on Twitter of the congressional delegation. Cory Bush is standing far away from everyone else. It's weird. But, the question came up yesterday because I guess you only get 2, and you only get 1 in statutory hall or statuary hall. I don't know what the name of it is. And then they moved the other ones because of overcrowding. But the question was okay, if your state only gets 2 and we're getting a new one, who got knocked out? And I couldn't figure it out yesterday, but according to the Nebraska Examiner, it was Thomas Hart Benton. And so the Truman statue will replace that one.
Very cool. By the way, off the text, 70 West Providence exit area. Apparently there is a huge backup there. Black smoke apparently seen out west.
And an update on the Benton statue as I read. This is exciting though. Yeah. The Benton statue will be moved to the State Historical Society of Missouri in Columbia, Mo. So yeah, that'll be cool. Hopefully they'll have a dedication here for that and we can go see it.
Yeah, and Tom, a lot of the art in the Capitol building, I'm not all up to date on my artists and stuff, but that's Thomas Hart Benton stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Anything real quick you want to drop for leftovers in your fridge, John? Yeah. Interesting take. So this weekend, final regular season game, Pujols, Molina to be honored, but no word on Adam Wainwright. Have a great weekend. Nolan is next. See ya.